Hey, hang on just one sec. I gotta turn down my heat before it turns on. Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor videos. I recorded a conversation with Dr. Randall Bell, PhD, and he was kind enough to give me an autographed copy of his magnificent book, Post Traumatic Thriving: The Art, Science, and Stories of Resilience. And he's no longer Mormon, but he doesn't talk about Mormonism in this. He talks about overcoming problems through disasters that we've lived through. Let me read you Dr. Alan Campbell's NPR's Watching America comment. Dr. Bell's research has been vast: 50 states, 7 continents. Nicole Brown Simpson, Joan Benet Ramsey, Sandy Hook, Hurricane Katrina. He has had some challenges in his own life. He was born with congenital heart defects and underwent surgery at age 10. He is a person who wants to instill confidence and examine the idea of strength. I was very fortunate to enjoy a lot of time with Dr. Bell at Thrive. And here I caught him in a retrospective moment outside in the foyer while he was sitting, relaxing, and enjoying himself by himself. And I recorded some ideas from him on the impact of the internet on Mormonism. And I will have him on again after I read this fine book, and we will talk about some of his themes and ideas. But for now, I just want to share this recording because he has so many insights. The downside of this recording is it ended when someone else walked up to him and started talking to him, and he just simply turned his attention to them. And it's all good, but I got a really excellent, fairly decent long interview with Dr. Bell, and he has agreed he will come on my show many times. The man is a hoot. He's funny, he's fun, he's intelligent, he's world traveled, he has dealt with all kinds of disasters and people's efforts to put their lives back together after disasters. And yes, you can think, well, my disaster in my life, for many of us, has been Mormonism. The trauma, the psychological shock, the intimidation, the mean-spirited, illegal in many cases, of use of power in order to coerce people into either giving more money or staying in the church, etc. The threats, the excommunications, etc. All of this plays into this. Here is the wisdom of one of the most down-to-earth, wonderful men. I got to sit with him in the conference and listen to talks. I got to interview him here. We had dinner together. We had lunch together with groups of us, which I am going to put a video together to show you how fun Thrive is. But here, I just want to share one-on-one with my good and dear friend, whom I'm proud and grateful to be able to call my dear friend, Randy Bell. I'm here with Randy Bell. So we were just talking about the impact and influence of the internet.
Well, it's a game changer because before the internet, there was 3 television networks. There was main distribution, so you couldn't put a product and get it into the distributed.
True.
And there was no such thing as buying it online. And now with the internet,
And that was pre-Google.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Google changed absolutely everything.
Yeah, and now anybody with good content can distribute it to the world and take on big multi-billion-dollar organizations, if that sounds familiar, and just hand it.
Never
to
heard of any of those. Like Apple.
I'm trying to think who it was.
Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints Inc.
might be one.
That's a code word.
Yeah, you can take them on, and then of course you got something that they don't have, and that's this thing called the truth. And for a true church,
Or at least their nuanced version of it.
they have a very difficult time telling the truth.
They give you just enough to make you think that you're convinced that they're right.
Well, they give you enough to make you think that you're elect and you're elite and you're better than everybody else, and they're better than everybody else.
Yeah, you have a core of something no one else has but wants.
And they
Interesting psychology.
co-opt your decision making, and instead of living who you are, you live as they want you to be. And if you like pink shirts or blue shirts, that's too bad. You gotta wear a white shirt. They make all the
They made us do that when we were in the deacon's quorum. They wouldn't even let us pass the sacrament unless we wore white shirts.
Yeah.
You remember those days?
Well, I remember the whole transition, because I'm old enough that when I was a kid, nobody wore white shirts. Maybe the bishop.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, and you'd wear these cowboy shirts, and
The tie or the suit coat was much more important.
you wore what it was a very colorful deal, and these
Yeah.
big wide colorful ties and these big lapels and vivid paisley colors. And then they made the suggestion of white shirts, and there's no such thing as a suggestion. They suggest it, and it's suggested for a couple weeks, and then it's a commandment.
It's like the word of wisdom.
Yeah. So, no, you just relinquish your decision making, your purpose of life, who you authentically are, to these 15 guys, and fall in line, and your whole sense of identity becomes theirs.
It's based on theirs. Yeah. That's the
You'll find
boy.
this
There's the trick.
I worked on the Heaven's Gate case, and for years.
No,
And
what
Heaven's Gate.
Why would you do that? What do you do?
I studied the economic effects of disasters. So the guy that owned the Heaven's Gate house, he's my client.
So you're about ready to start Mormonism then, studying Mormonism.
At the time, I was a TBM.
Once it becomes an economic disaster,
We're
that
not a cult. Cults, this Heaven's Gate cult. It was in my Mormon brain, I thought we're nothing like a cult. We have football teams and accredited universities, and we're not committing mass suicide. And I don't know. I still to this day, I don't know that I like the cult word. But high demand religions.
I don't either. Yeah.
It's
That's
probably it's undisputed by anyone.
right.
I mean, Spencer W. Kimball said we're a very demanding church.
Sure.
So,
Well, what do they tell you to intimidate you? They say, well, you don't want to go to church anymore because you want to sin because you can't live the high standards of the church, of the gospel.
yeah, my response to that is that LDS standards are here, and my standards are here, because the gospel topic essays are nothing but an admission that all the old, Baptist ministers' anti-Mormon lies, well, they're actually the truth. The Baptist minister was telling the truth all along.
That is so bizarre, but so accurate. Yeah, that was one of the things where I started saying online, I said, you don't realize it, but man, they yanked the carpet right up from under your feet with those essays.
They did, and what's mind-boggling is I ran into a guy at my office. He's down in the parking garage, and he's a TBM, and he had a license plate holder that had a cross on it, and I said, "Are you Christian now?" Because I thought he was active member of the Mormon Church. He goes, "No, but and he had some explanation of why he thought that was helpful. And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, I'm out, completely." And he looked at me like I, had an arm growing out of the side of my head. And I said, "Well, have you read the gospel topic essays?" He'd never heard of them. And I said, "Well, read them. They're on the church's website. Don't take my word for it." And
Right.
he wouldn't touch them.
Isn't
They're
that
on the church's
fascinating?
website.
I've had that response a few times. Isn't that crazy? Well, when I tell people, hey, the Joseph Smith Papers Project is truly sponsored by the church, the first presidents, and they got the scholars' permission. They invested tens of millions for the photography and the technology to make the best photographs of all the manuscripts.
Yeah.
And yet they're handing us the tool that will defeat them, the proof they've cheated on their history.
Yeah.
So I think, what do you think? Am I wrong in saying this, Randy? It was a calculated risk to become, or at least give the impression, and you gotta, come on, give them a little bit of kudos here. They have now given the impression that they are at minimum becoming a little bit more transparent now, right? That wouldn't be
I give
unfair,
them a lot
would
of
it?
credit. Anybody, but you know what? You can never really recover from something like that without an apology. I make a mistake. You apologize. That's what kids are taught to do. But, it's a church that won't apologize. And with the Joseph Smith papers, along with the gospel topic essays, there's a reason why out of 17 million Mormons, rounding the number up to 17 million,
right,
12 to 13 million Mormons have left Mormonism. There's only 3 or 4 active million members of the Mormon church left.
PMOs. Physically and mentally out.
Physically and mentally out, but some are TBMs. They truly believe it just as strong as you or I did.
Yeah.
And they tends to be distilling down more and more to people that are just absolutely entrenched and will not let go, because I think my own theory is I think a lot of these folks are too terrified of really examining it, because I'm from California, so I've got a lot of friends that never been Mormon. But when you live in Utah, you live in Idaho, and the whole neighborhood is just a 3-block
basically
area,
Mormon.
You're upsetting your neighbors, your boss, your customers, your clients, your patients, your family, your extended family, and it's just too much, and people won't even go there.
Yeah. And that fear really is real. I remember going through it. Yeah.
Yeah, very real.
Yeah,
very
it's interesting part of the psychology for the culture and keeping you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had it easy. I'm from California, and I went around and had lunch with a bunch of high school friends and college friends, and I told them I left the church, and they're just, they were shocked, because I was always trying to have them
get them in.
Mormon.
Yeah.
And B, they said, well, why'd you leave? And I told them, and their response was, you didn't know that? I spent 15 minutes. I was interested in the Mormon church.
Oh, there's an eye-opener, right?
And they said, I knew that in 15 minutes on the internet. And I said, it never even occurred to me to even look it up. Because I knew,
yeah,
I knew it was true.
I've said that something similar to it when I've said, when you're inside it, defending it, you really can't see the whole issue.
Yeah.
I mean, my expertise was the Book of Abraham and the facsimiles, but I never knew the relationship of the papyri with the Kirtland Egyptian papers or any of that noise. Mm-hmm. And then I really never did understand why the Egyptologists were saying we have the original papyri that Joseph Smith actually translated into the Book of Abraham. Yeah. I thought that was another Mormon argument. And when that shoe fell, that's when I realized, I've been clobbered here. So.
Yeah, no, it's like our buddy John DeLynn says, the bubble is real.
The bubble is real. Yeah, that's yeah.
And you know what's crazy, Carrie, is since I've kind of I'm doing a few podcasts now, and people, the number of people that watch them is staggering. And I'm getting messages now from people that were, the last time I saw them, they were as TBM as you can believe.
In the bishoprics, the state presidencies and all that.
I'm getting calls and emails and everything saying, I'm out, or I'm still physically
I'm
in,
wondering,
but I'm mentally out.
yeah.
And it's like they were the last people you would think would leave the church.
Always first to bear their testimonies once a month.
Oh yeah,
All that.
yeah. But if you have a little bit of the critical thinking skills and a little bit of integrity and a little bit of courage, that's all it takes to blow that bubble. So,
yeah, and it's like I've had a couple of people. I did that quick just before I came here to Thrive. The BYP response to the church being fined the $5 million with that SEC situation,
yeah,
where they paid the fine because they knew they were guilty, and my speculation, I think it'll come out, is they want to pay that fine because it's so small and it might help prevent anyone looking deeper. But I've already seen Mormons where they're still defending that.
Oh, all day long. Yeah.
And you kind of go, come on, guys. I mean, I've had a guy who, and I know the apologists hate it when we tell this faith unpromoting story, but I've had a guy who told me Russell M. Nelson standing up there testifying in the name of Jesus Christ by the Holy Ghost that it is actually false. He's been lying all his life. There really isn't a truth in the Book of Mormon, etc., would not phase their testimony. They would continue being Mormon. Now that's hardcore brainwashing. I wish I had a different word, because I'm not interested in just doing, ad hominem stupid name calling and all. I'm looking more for the dialogue, but I mean, seriously, that's as hardcore as you can get.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well, that reminds me of the Heaven's Gate cult, because if you remember, they were going to join a spacecraft.
Oh, they sure were. Yes, it was coming back.
And they went and bought a really high-powered telescope to actually watch the spaceship.
Watch the spaceship come in. I do remember that.
They watched it, and if you remember, they didn't see it, and they took the telescope back and said, "This is broken. It's not powerful enough to see the spaceship." And they still stayed in, even when they had physical evidence that there was no spaceship there. And
that is so
stayed
remarkable
in.
how
it's you can get.
It's something hardwired in the human brain, maybe.
It's the neurology, and the thing about the neurology is literally the neurons of the brain forming and creating a pattern of thinking and a pathway, and anything that interferes with that pathway is rejected. And the statistics are it's got to be contradicted at least minimum 27 times before you can rewire that neurology.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that is a lot of work.
It's too much work for a lot of people.
So us making more than 2 or 3 podcasts is legit then.
You got to make at least 27.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
Hey, you two wonderful people.
Yeah, at least 27 episodes.
Wow.
To even start to change the rewiring. And that's human nature. But the church is so good at telling these repetitive narratives and this correlated narrative over and over and over and over again. And if you recall, that's kind of what the Japanese did to prisoners of war.
Hey, there she is. This is Bill Reel's lovely wife.
Huh? Yeah, he's just right here.
I think we're meeting right here. I don't know. Randy and I are just enjoying a nice little video session that you guys are going to be blessed to see on my YouTube soon.
Oh. Did you videotape them? Is that what you're talking about?
I have, but not as much yet. But I will. Thank you, Randy. And that was pretty much the interview. Once people started wanting to talk to him, he just went right to them. And that's how he is. He's just so genuine. He'll focus on you and he'll talk with you, etc. So I thought he had a lot of really great insights with that. And so I'm thrilled to be able to share this brief little one-on-one. I wish I could have had time to do more one-on-ones like this, but I am very excited and happy that Randy took the time to sit down with me. So I've got a lot more videos on Thrive to share with you. Thank you for all your support and love and encouragement. It was so overwhelming to me to meet so many hundreds of people who appreciate the efforts of those of us who produce materials that can potentially help them through their own traumas. Because this is a traumatic situation in so many regards, and it's hard. Yeah, it's not only hard to get through it, it's hard to let go. But there are groups, there are friends that we can begin associating with and getting together to help us through the traumas. And Randy Bell, sincerely, I've been told by many people at Thrive, they've read this book and they highly recommend it. And Thrive was sponsoring it and helping sell it. And I was very fortunate that I got my free copy. I will be going through this very soon, and I will have Randy Bell on again. So thank you for watching my BYP videos. I do appreciate all your love and support. And if you'd be so kind, backyardprofessor.org, if you would hit the donate button for me, a one-time, a weekly, a small monthly, whatever you can do, whatever you wish to do would be fine. It helps me and many others keep going. And if it's priestcraft, as Mormonism teaches that we are asking for donations, then Mormonism itself is involved in priestcraft because it asks for donations. But religion is a business. And we are in the business of the opposite of what Mormonism is in it for. They want you for your money. We want you for your friendship and love. And that makes all the difference.